What up? What up? What up? It's even the real. I'm the son of the real, which is the son of the house, right? That's literally what my name translates to in Arabic. So Daral is the house, you know. And this journey for me has been very unique because like nobody told me about who I was. I had to like really know. You gotta know your attributes, what you like, what inspires you, um, your type of setting, your backdrop that you want around you. You know, you have to know that. Can't nobody tell you that. And then once you learn that, then you start to like Santiago seek for that, like that place in the back of your mind that that you really feel like you trapped from, that you really want to go to. I mean, it could be anything. It could be like your vision, your vision. Your vision gotta be adapted to. When you a kid, you start seeing the world, and then you get imaginations because you are your ancestor, and your ancestors had dreams. So you subconsciously living out daydreams when you start seeing like what inspires you the most. And as you get older, you can you start setting up an alarm clock. In my book, The Alarm Clock, everybody should go get the alarm clock. Support the alarm clock because it's now set up as a charitable trust for my children. So like when you buy my books, you are actually pouring into my children, like into their house, the house of academia, the house of prayer. We are a praying family. Even my daughter, she's starting to say Allah Akbar. Like she's 3, saying Allah Akbar. You feel me? This little girl right here is 3 years old talking about Allah Akbar. So, pour into them, get the alarm clock, book of rhymes, anything that got Daryl Q Slade on it. Use that promo code when you check out, and that's my gift to you. So pour into our house. That's all we ask for you to do is just buy as many books as possible, and I'm gonna let you in on something. If you use that promo code, you can buy that book in bulk, and then you can resell it back to your audience, right? To your everyday people, or you can give them away, like the Holy Quran. You know what I mean? Give away book of rhymes like the Holy Quran. It was written for me to be a don because I'm the son, of the Don Dada, the Don Dada. That's Gordon. So I'm the son of Gordon, the son of Gordon. Yeah, that's why they call me Saint Quentin. In France, they call me Saint Quentin. Right? That's where the Q come from in the Daryl Q Slade. That's Quentin. That's Quentin and Darrell. That's the house of Q. Feel me? So I really encourage you to get my books. I put a lot of hard work into it. They grow with me. Get any book off of No More Suit site, but I gave you a play, so you can get my books as an investment, and like the more you buy, if you want to like start selling our books, if you live near a Charles and Fifth, or Fifth and Charles, Second and Charles, if you live near Second and Charles, they'll buy my books from you for cash. You feel me? So the more you buy in bulk, you know, the 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 more you can make off of the book. So obviously you want to read it, but yeah, get these books because that's pouring. Like, you know, for me, I don't eat off of my books. Like I'm not feeding my family off of the books. So, and this is just like a blueprint for future authors. Like this is the life of an author. I literally live the life of an author, and so as an author, you're not gonna make a lot of money off of books. That's just the reality of it. So let's just be real about it. You're not gonna make a lot of money off of books, right? However, so knowing that you set up a charitable trust to pass those books, like if you don't have children, you can pass it to a foundation that's already established, or you can create a foundation that will be established, but you have to, in order to establish a trust, is you have to have a board. You have to have something to fund the trust, which would be the book, which is your royalties that you're assigning to the trust, but you also have to have a board, okay? Because if you die tomorrow, the board is still there. They understand the vision. You feel me? And that's what I was just saying about the children having the imagination that's being sent from their ancestors for the dreams that they weren't able to live out, you know. So they starting to get it, and then they grow into this vision. Your vision is just unique. It's like your thumbprint. Everybody has a unique codified vision based off of their thumbprint. So my vision is not going to be your vision, but again, in the alarm clock, that's literally what we talk about. The functions may be the same, but our visions may differentiate. So we might both be Uber drivers, which is the function. However, you may be an Uber driver to pay a bill, and I may be an Uber driver so that I can make connections. You know, that's the difference. That's the difference. That's what you call ministry. So we have different roles in this life, different visions, same function, same different avenues of revenue, you know, and you have the ability to create new avenues of revenue. That's what you call a visionaire. That's what you call a visionaire. So, you know, this is just, we want you to support our books. Go to NoMoreSuitsLLC.com exclusively. Do not get our books off of Amazon. I repeat, do not get our books off of Amazon. Support the real. Support No More Suits. Go to No More Suits and make those purchases from there. We literally got an order over the weekend, and we got it shipped today. Going to Chicago, Illinois. So like it's crazy, man. Like I have a multitude, like books are selling off of my shelves. It's crazy. Books are selling off of the shelf. And you know, we want to give the nation the, like, so the reciprocity in that is I read to my son, I read to my daughter. Like, I have his report from his teacher. 1 second, he's gonna come over here. That's dope. I just want to read this. Pour back into my son. They get their royalties from their father. It says that Jordan Jordan's score is higher than 74. Oh, we still rocking. Jordan's score is higher than 74% of students in the same grade across the nation. And reading. His reading skills meets or exceeds the grade level expectation. But that's because we read in the history of England. We literally are reading the history of the language, the nationhood behind the language. So that's how he's able to perfect his English, because he's reading about the history of the English language, or the history of the land. That's why it's called England. So before you have the nation, you have the land. I mean, before you had a language, you had a land. So this is what we're reading. And so he reads every night. And now he's learning how to identify. It's really amazing how he's learning how to actually read. This is why I have him really, again, as an author, like, you have to focus on the kid's academia. So he knows how to write. His teacher told me that his penmanship is really superb. He actually wrote Henry, which is his great grandfather. He wrote it on chalk with chalk on the sidewalk out there, and it looks like as if I wrote it. And he's 5. So, this is literally the life of I call it a father, because father is author with F in front of it, and the F is for father. So F. Author. And my grandfather's name was Arthur. Henry Arthur. You know what I'm saying? So that's why sovereignty is truly in how you articulate your page. That's true sovereignty, how you articulate your page. So we encourage more authors. I will say that we are looking for journalists, paid positions. We are going to start having an interest meeting and free classes. We're going to do free journalism classes for the people who sign up to be journalists. We are about to open up more positions for our freight brokers, where you can come in and be a freight broker, and it's going to be different than all other freight brokerages. Our freight brokerage is going to be different because you're actually going to be doing product placement and development. So you're going to be the one that's articulating how and creating better modes of transportations for products such as books and water, making the planet better through the distribution routes. We're looking for, let's see, what else is we need an altar call for. So journalism, authors, we do trust consultations, we do book trust consultations. So if you want to publish a book and put it into a trust, we have consultations for that, and we also help you to adjust that to get that set up. With the freight brokerage course that's coming up, this is just early access information. With that's coming up, it's going to, once you take it, you're going to walk out of the course with a living trust and a surety bond. so that you can operate as a freight broker in North America. Like, yeah, you can have a certificate, but more importantly, yes, you're gonna have a trust certificate, and you're gonna have surety. That way, you'll be bonded, and as soon as you're done, you'll be able to work with any company in North America, and we're growing to different regions, but we're going to be unique, and you're going to be the one that's going to be crafting the route, the distribution route. So you have to have a sales team. So sales agents, we definitely going to need sales agents who can call the libraries and sell to the libraries and to universities, libraries. So it's ample. It's no need to compete. No need to compete. So if you're really sincerely interested in that, please email me directly. My proprietorship, which is D as in Daryl. So it's Daryl. It's Daryl Q Slade. So like my author name, Daryl Q Slade, but instead of Daryl, it's Daryl. So DAREAL, which that means royal. I was telling my son that tonight because he actually watches the Royalty Family. So I was telling him about his daughter, my daughter's name, his sister's name, how her name is Darial, like Montreal, or Daryl. And I was telling him that her name technically means the royal. You know, that's technically what it is. Real is royal. So we the real. That's our house. Father, the Father. I'm the father of the real. The father of Charlotte. I'm the father of Jordan. And this is also dedicated to the men. I want to talk to men whose house has been divided because of propaganda. We have to heal, and the only way that we're going to heal is through commerce. And I've come to learn that, like, instead of getting mad, you have to get equity. Don't get mad. Get your satisfaction through equity. That's how we're gonna heal. And then once you get your equity, you owe it to yourself to travel. This is how brothers are going to heal. Fathers, you have to heal through traveling. And so, but you gotta establish your grounds for the children. So you gotta think outside of the box. You have to, if you and the mothers, see, the mothers, you have to be competent enough to say that instead of me going to the child support court, we're going to go through set up private trust. And the father has to agree to the private trust. Now, this is for active fathers, right? So fathers that's active and mothers who are competent, that's who we talking about, because we understand that there are mothers who are incompetent and ignorant. So they just go, they don't know nothing else. And then there's also mothers who are competent, but the father is still inactive at all. Like, not even active, like Umar Johnson type shit. I just say that, they say he is not active in his child's life. So those type niggas, this not gonna work. The public trust is set up for those type niggas. Like, I literally read to my children this evening. It says that the evil often lies in corrupt individuals and not the system. So we be blaming the system, like, the system not set up, the system set up for us to fail. No, it's the corrupt individuals who know better but choose not to do better. And it's so crazy that I read this to my son tonight because I literally said that verbatim yesterday. And then it was like, my son was like, that's like magic, Dad. And I'm like, yeah, it is, because it's like, it was right there. And I did that too when I was talking about the four corners of law, right? And when I went to the four corners of law and then I read about it, I didn't read it, I read about it in the history of England to my son tonight, but it talked about, I was telling my son how it's the ecclesiastical jurisdiction, the local jurisdiction, the state jurisdiction, and then the federal or national jurisdiction. And I was telling my son about that, and it said royal, because I was breaking down royal. It's literally this what we read tonight. It's crazy how I speak things and then they are written, mashallah. It says that in medieval England there are many kinds of courts: the royal, ecclesiastical, manor, borough, and franchisal. Wow. So look up the four corners of law. So I was explaining that to my son about the ecclesiastical, St. Michael's. And then it like after I explained that, I read ecclesiastical literally was the next sentence. And I didn't even know it was there. You know, this is my first time reading it. It's like, you know, I'm reading to that in order to them. In order. And that's what he was talking about. King Edward establishing order. Establishing the order of the law. That's what's missing in North America. We don't have a king, a monarch that is governed by the matriarchy no more. We don't have that no more. We don't have that. And I will petition for us to tear down that statue that's at the peak of the peninsula of Carapolis, because they need to restore the matriarchy. And the reason why a lot of the corruption is happening right now is because these are systems that are being placed and hidden in plain sight that's causing a lot of this de facto patriarchal energy, de facto patriarchal rule, right? Because you have the balance of and so what needs to be at the peak of the peninsula is our original seal as a form of a statue with the Indian chief and the Indian chiefess. They need to have that at the peak of the peninsula. So when you come into our Carolinas, that's what they need to see at the peak of the peninsula. Instead of it being you have to know what I'm talking about in order for, you know, because they changed it with this. We gotta restore the matriarchy, and that's the work that's gonna be done. So I'm petitioning that we do that, and like the video, and that we change the seal back to the Indian chief, and using taxpayer dollars to get to hiring the best sculptor, not the motherfucker that did that D Wade shit. Who just got a dope statue? Somebody just got a dope. The Tom Brady one was pretty dope. Tom Brady joint. But we need to get the Indian chief and the chiefess using taxpayers' dollars, and that needs to be replaced at the peak of the peninsula at what is called Battery Park. See, that's what's really I'm telling you, a lot of that's falsified energy, because we were there, or it's actually called Oysters Point proper. So at Oysters Point, we need to get the chief, the original seal statue back. So we need to sculpt the chief with bronze and the chiefess in bronze, and their heirs, the offspring that needs to go back. I'm telling you, that's gonna change that right there is gonna bring a different frequency back to the planet. So I'm telling you, that's what's gonna happen. So I'm a Carolinian by way of the creeks and the rivers and the mountains. You know, we have mountains. We're buried in mountains. My people buried on mountains. My people are buried on mountains. That's named after their family. Which is my family. So I'm a real Carolinian, and I'm speaking to the Carolinian people directly and indirectly to all the indigenous nations and communities and people of all the different indigenous territories around the world. But I'm speaking specifically for my nationhood. I had the honor to speak on the Aboriginals of the Carolinas and their preservations, not reservations, preservations. And I had this chief to speak on his preservation, right? So if you've never been to an Indian preservation, you need to go to the Land of Abundance, Tamaray Farms on Saturdays, right? 12 Brady Lane in Yadkinville. And when you go there, you're going to experience what it's like to be on an Indian preservation. It's where our culture is preserved and there's no hijack that's controlling anything or behind manipulating anything. No, it's completely governed by like I just told you, that's the real masonry, the masonry that's operating in full time. So the good word says, children, honor thy father and thy mother so that you may live long on this planet. So shout out to Chief Emuel Zadok, right? So that's the Melchizedek in your face. And so that's what is needing to be restored. We're looking to do we need people that can help us with a youth program. I'm reaching out to Hoodie from High Yield Production to see if we can do an app building class for the youth. So if anybody that is specialized in app development, also reach out. So that's who else we need. App developers are people who not necessarily develop apps, but know how to get people from other countries to develop the apps so that the children can be hands-on with that. If we want to do that with the summer program, that's actually going to be at the Land of Abundance. And if you want to be a part of that, please reach out to Soul Society, NC. Reach out to myself. Follow me on the gram, Daryl Q Slay, like how it is on this channel. And we just gonna continue to build wealth. There's a lot of people that look just like us that is not with the program. And you have to be able to have discernment to know who they are and not let them take you off your square. So you have to practice prayer, and peace, um, and not letting your emotions control you, because that's part of the trickery, is they want you to rampage, and that way they can make you a prisoner of war. And that's one of the oldest tricks in the book, is they have tactics to make you get upset, to throw you off your swivel so that they can capture you, right? So you gotta know that it's chess out here, right? You have your right to be angry, but you gotta know how to control your anger. You really have to know how to control your anger. And so anybody that deals with anger, you have to learn this right here: how to write. Learn how to write. Once you learn how to write, then you can express your anger, your frustration like this. You feel what I'm saying? So only you and God can understand. So that's what I charge my anybody that's dealing with anger is right. We need writers, right? We need writers. We need authors who. Everybody that publishes through No More Suits has full control over their royalties, right? So the trust is you trust No More Suits to print your books and deliver it to you. That's what we do. That's what we've been doing. That's what we're gonna continue to do. That's what this house is built on. That's what this house is built on. Feel me? So this is the house of the real. So that's what we produce. You know, we produce real books, real novelty, and you know, we really want more. We encourage more authors. I feel like personally that everybody who's born should be an author, and they should be required to have a book, just like they're required to have a passport, just like they're required to have a driver's license, a social security number, just like they're required to have a diploma. Not necessarily required to have that, but operate in this system, right? You gotta have that, or a GED. I feel like having a book should also be a requirement. Just like you're required to learn how to read and write, well, you need to write a damn book telling your story, because nobody else is going to be able to tell your story for you the way that you're going to tell it yourself. That's very important that you understand that. You write your own book, and we assure you your royalties, the full 100% royalties, when you publish through No More Suits. You have 100% royalty, and we help you delegate what you want to do. So like how for me with my children, we had a charitable, you can have it. I mean, it's really boundless what you can do as an author. So with that being said, you go to NoMoreSuitsLLC.com, get this book right here, get 1975, Tale of Two Cities, right there. You can only get that from No More Suits, right? You can also buy in bulk, and if you want to resell it on your PayPal account or however on your Shopify, you have the opportunity to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I gave you the discount code. But if you want to buy more in bulk, all you got to do is email NoMoreSuitsLLC@gmail.com, and we'll send you the invoice. And once you pay the invoice, we ship you the books by the pound. You feel me? So become a book merchant. For the people that's losing their job, become a book merchant. You can literally go to vendor. I'm giving game out right now. You can, if you don't do nothing else, you could go to vendor. You can set up a vendor at a market in your city, and you go down there and you sell books. You sell our books, they will buy them. They will buy this novelty. Trust me. Like we was at South Dakota, me and my brother. We went to the Lakota Museum in South Dakota. We actually brought this painting with us when we went. But we had a whole fresh pack of books that we took to the Lakota Museum in South Dakota. And we literally just gave it to them as a peace offering when we went. And as we were giving it, it was a guy, a European, pale skinned European. He came up to my brother, and as we were, he had the books in his hand and in the box. And he was like, "Man, can I take a look at this?" He was looking at it and bought it from him right off the spot. You know what I mean? So invest in my brother's novelty, you know. And then like when you publish your book, we had that to the collection. You could sell it on our website. It can be a part of our affiliate program where, like, if we are doing vendors and stuff, like, we'll buy it from bulk. We'll buy it from you in bulk. And, we sell it at our vendor joint. So, or like, you can give us some, and we'll give you the commission back on the flip end. That's how I do, like, with people who don't buy wholesale from me, like stores. I do a commission deal where, we tax them. we charge a tariff for all of the ones that's on the shelf, So you could do that. Those are different options that you have. And think about your children. Think about those who have kids. Like now, this will put money in their pocket. Children's books sell, more than the traditional novels. So, hey, man. But this is what I will say, people. Be careful with using AI. Be careful with using AI. Because they're stealing intellectual property. So you want to make sure that, again, heal with the pen. You know what I'm saying? Heal with the pen. These are all writ. This is all the life of an author. That's going to be the name of this video. This is the life of an author. Like, now I'm an author that's using the philosophies of the Nipseys and the Hoes and the P. Millers, the Free Diddy, you know what I'm saying? And using those philosophies to be more than an author. So as being more than an author, we actually, we have ownership not just of our writs, but of our publication companies and of our distribution. Like that's what it is, right? So you can do that too. That's it. But like I said, that thumbprint, everybody's vision is different based off of your thumbprint. So you may have the same functions, but different realities, like different visions, different avenues, right? And that's how you have different cities. You feel me? You have different cities, and all of the cities are populated, but it's different. Chicago is different from New York. You know what I mean? New York is different from Philadelphia. Philadelphia is different from Baltimore. Because Baltimore had its own vision, and Chicago had its own vision. The Trefo had its own vision, right? Visionaries, I would say. So shout out to Chicago. We just sent the book to Chicago today. Really just a great feeling, man. Phenomenal to have support, to have customers in Chicago. I think this is our second novel that we sent to Chicago. And we support the underground bookstore in Chicago. So, shout out to Brother UL. That's a book bank right there. So anything J. Rogers, you can get from Chicago. I got Know Your Hit, or it's called Your History by J.A. Rogers. It's a comic book. Get that from Brother Yoel in Chicago. You know what I mean? So with that being said, man, NoMoreSuitsLLC.com/bookstore. Get these books for my children, bro, because I'm going to say this last thing. I am not a dependent on the public welfare. I do not depend on the public welfare. I do not get SNAP benefits. I pay everything out of pocket for my children, for my household, for my transportation. All of that stuff comes out of my pocket, right? All of that, my kids' tuition, all of that comes out of my pocket, right? And I'm not taking away from the mother, because she's a hustler too. So help us both by just buying these books that's going to pour into our offsprings. That's it. That's why we work. That's why I stayed up all them hours and nights working on the alarm clock before my children was even born. So pour into them, right? And like, if you want to write it off on your taxes, we got EINs for our charitable trust. So, you know, just buy these books. Buy hundreds of them. You feel me? And like, let's send it to Palestine. You could buy 100 books and send it to Palestine. You know what I mean? Like, real talk. Like, let's do that shit, bro. Buy these books in bulk. Buy these books. That's what I'm charging. I'm charging my barons. Buy these books and flood your community with it. Buy them. Flood the schools with it. That's what these youth need. I'm telling you. That's who I wrote for, the Fountain of Youth. I wrote to the Fountain of Youth. So get my brother book. That's real American Indian history right there. You feel me? It's documenting the Lakota returning back home to their homelands. That's what our family represent. That's what she at. She came back to the homelands. You feel me? If you look up the Lakota, they were in the South Dakota region, but look at where they came from, the Ohio Valley. Where did the people from the Ohio Valley come from? They came from the Saratown Mountains. And I'm going to end on that note. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah.